Today I want to show you guys how I made this Vecna diorama from Stranger Things.
Recently, like many of you, I have watched the fourth season of Stranger Things. The main villain of the show really spoke to me. The references to A Nightmare on Elm Street.
This is God.
The Davy Jones chic, and all the tentacles. Seeing all this made one thing clear. I had to have him. The 3D models online weren't the best, so I decided to model him myself. Also, not the best. You sculpted a knee, you sculpted the back, you sculpted the head, you sculpted the tentacle. I printed Vecna out on a bed that Pinhead could only dream of. While removing the supports, I broke a tentacle, so going back I would have made them thinner. I made a 5x5 inch base with styrofoam. That's 12.7 centimeters for anyone not using Freedom units. And then I proceeded to use the least efficient method to cut these craft sticks into boards. I slapped a little PVA glue on and then connected the boards. About halfway through making the boards, I found this little tool that I had. I honestly don't know the name of it, so I'm just going to call it a board crimper. And it works so much better. If you're going to do a lot of these type of boards, pick one of these up. Now I wanted to make these boards look like they belonged in some creepy villain's attic lair. So I stained them worse than I stained my tidy whities the time I dared to test out some truck stop sushi. Greg's Earthshade. The dollar store had some little boards that would work perfectly as my 4x4s. It's a bit weird that they added a bit of cloth on top of them though.
Oh, dang it, Bobby.
The boards broke apart easily enough, but be careful if you do this yourself because the little metal pieces that held them together were rusty and quite sharp, so that's just a thought. I measured out the boards so that Vecna could be floating once the tentacles were connected to his back. In order to attach the boards to the base, I decided to put nails into the bottom. I pre-drilled the hole to make sure that the nail wouldn't split the board.
Nice.
I made sure that the drill bit was only slightly bigger than the nail. Before staining the 4x4 boards, I weathered them using a wire brush. Listen to that sweet brush ASMR.
Nice.
And then I cut some notches into them with a razor. So then I started to stain the boards. What the hell was that? Anyway, that was weird. After I was done staining, I screwed 4 holes on the base and put them at the 4 corners. I glued them in place with some more PVA. After you're done gluing in the boards, you'll want to find whatever occult tome you have nearby to hold everything in place. The American People's Encyclopedia is a favorite of mine. I started off base coating Vecna in a white beige color after spray painting him, but I found it didn't really work, so I had to go back later and put a darker coat on top. I sculpted the tentacles out of some Super Sculpty, which I then wrapped around some double twined wire. This worked well, but if I had to do it again, I would wear gloves because I left way too many fingerprints, so be careful with that. With a little bit of super glue, that finger was as good as new. I went ahead and painted the base black because I figured it would be easier to do it now as opposed to when the tentacle was already there. I used the bigger brush for most of it and then switched to the smaller brush to make sure I didn't get any of the black paint on the wood. So I'll be honest, when I started this project, I knew that Vecna's paint scheme was a little bit out of my wheelhouse. I just started painting miniatures, and he has a lot of crevices, nooks, crannies, tentacles, all of the things that make it kind of a difficult paint job. So I started out by going light when I probably should have went dark. As you can see here, I did a pink and then yellow and just kind of merged them back and forth. Then I covered up most of the yellow but left a little bit and did basically another base coat of all pink on top except for the stomach, which I left bare because I wanted it to be a pale color. Here he is in all of his pink fleshy glory. Very intimidating, I know. I wasn't exactly seeing the vision I had in my head, so I went pretty heavy with this darker pink, and for a minute I thought maybe I'd messed the paint job up, but it ended up being okay. As you can see here, the arm is purple and the body's a dark pink, parts are purple. I ended up doing one of the legs blue, so it was kind of all over the place. I was just trying to salvage what I could. At this point, I kind of thought it was starting to come together. I did a blue tint on his stomach to make it kind of a pale color. Once I had most of the dark colors done, I came back with that pink again that I did earlier as a base coat, and it looked much closer to what I thought it should be. So obviously, I should have started with the dark color and moved on to the light. Towards the end, I started using super watered down layers of paints to blend over top of each other to make the skin kind of look like it flowed into each other. I was just using common craft paints, so I don't know if maybe I could have done better with Vallejo or something more expensive, but they suited my purpose. After I was done painting, I took my Arby's curly fries and put them in the oven. I spray painted the tentacles black and then I used the purple paint on top. I was gonna go lighter, but like I said earlier, I had fingerprints and so the lighter paint showed up way too much, so I decided to keep it a dark color. I had pre-bent all of these before baking them to make sure that they would fit and to make sure that they would be able to hold Vecna up. In the show, Vecna is very shiny and slimy looking, so I decided to use a coat of gloss varnish to get that look. Also, it has the added benefit of protecting the paint job. I added the varnish to the tentacles as well. Now that I was all done, I had to do a little bit of surgery to remove the pole that I had UV resined to Vecna's sensitive areas, should we say. In hindsight, I probably should have used hot glue or putty or anything else, but it just held so much better while I was painting, and you know, I wanted to try something different. I made sure to go in and paint the color to match the rest of the legs. And finally, having that complete, I UV resin Vecna into place on his wires. And now, on to the beauty shots. I just wanted to say thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. It's a lot of fun to make these dioramas. So thank you so much.
Bah.